Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. It is December 15th, 2014. Here's a quick look what's coming up.
Tonight.
So I'm thinking that is totally appropriate in Iraq, but what kind of a situation in the U.S. would you see that happening?
I mean, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons.
A Washington State Sheriff's Department says that clip was taken out of context. That's next on the Infowars Nightly News.
Cobra says the veterans and the gun owners, they're saying that we're the bad guys.
As the federal government prepares for war with gun owners, preppers, and constitutionalists, government agencies across the board, well, they continue to adopt military tactics to fight against anything that represents traditional America. Now, we begin this evening with a shocking video from Washington State where a deputy sheriff admits that the police departments need armored military vehicles because of constitutionalists with firearms.
Well, the nice thing about this piece of equipment is that if somebody is directing fire toward a team that's trying to get in, they can pull right up to a front, take enemy fire, and still try to address a threat without being fear of getting shot.
So I'm thinking that is totally appropriate in Iraq, but what kind of a situation in the U.S. would you see that happening?
I mean, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons, a lot of ammunition. I mean, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons, a lot of ammunition. They have weapons here locally.
So there you go. More proof that the police are receiving military equipment and training to target conservative Americans. This also illustrates the obvious training mindset that has been linked to the FBI and Homeland Security, two groups which have labeled liberty lovers as terror threats, including people who believe in, wait for it, conspiracy theories. That's right, Big Brother is watching you. And the talking points that were basically regurgitated by this deputy sheriff in that video, they're not really all that surprising when you learn that the Spokane County Sheriff's Department, well, they received some of their training from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Truth is stranger than fiction. I'm not making this up. And remember, the SPLC, they're the ones who monitor so-called hate groups, and they're infamously known for comparing conservative Americans to violent racists. The SPLC is a George Soros-funded organization, and each year they publish a list of potential terrorists, basically a hit list of American patriots, including none other than Alex Jones, who is routinely included in their list of potential domestic terrorists, if you can believe that. Once again, truth is stranger than fiction. And if the SPLC says you're dangerous, well, you can count on the mainstream media to echo that thought.
I don't want that man to have a gun. I wouldn't feel comfortable having an argument with him in his home where he had access to his 50 weapons. And if he got really mad at something I said, or if I disputed his contentions.
Challenge Alex Jones to a boxing match, show up with a semi-automatic that you got legally, and pop him.
I'd love to see that. In uniform.
And it's not just MSNBC and the SPLC who are trying to convince the public that constitutionalists are dangerous. Remember that police departments across the country, well, they are being militarized and trained to deal with the homegrown threat, you know, returning veterans and people who support the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And we all know about the massive arms buildup by the Department of Homeland Security. And in an interview earlier this year with Fox News in Morgan County, the Indiana police sergeant admitted that the increasing militarization of domestic police departments is to deal with returning veterans who are now seen as a homegrown threat.
We really didn't have the violence that we see today. The weaponry is totally different now than it was in the beginning of my career. Plus, you have a lot of people that are coming out of the military that have the ability and the knowledge to build IEDs and to defeat law enforcement techniques.
Morgan County Sheriff SWAT Commander Dan Downing says such a vehicle would have helped get deputies close the day they were fired at by a barricaded gunman in 2011.
So there you go. Police departments across the country now equipped with mine-resistant vehicles, MRAPs, who were once used to fight wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, they are now patrolling the streets of America. And we're not the only ones who've been warning you about this. Some of you may remember former Marine Corps Colonel Peter Martino. He was stationed in Fallujah, and he actually trained Iraqi soldiers. Well, he said publicly numerous times, including right here on our show, that the Department of Homeland Security is working with law enforcement to build a domestic army because the federal government is afraid of its own citizens. And don't forget, the FBI, the DHS, and the nation's police departments, they're being trained that we are the enemy. And look, I've got here a Department of Justice constitutionalist extremist guide right here in my hand. This was published by the DOJ. And it says to look out for American citizens who are members of the Patriot movement. This is a training manual that's titled Investigating Terrorism and Criminal Extremism, published by the DOJ, complete with terms and concepts to help recognize potential extremists. And I'm going to read some of their bullet points, and you're not going to believe this. This is what they consider to be extremist speech. Anyone who talks about black helicopters, well, they are obviously prone to conspiracy theory beliefs, and they should be monitored and considered a threat, according to the DOJ. If you talk about the Bilderberg Group or the Trilateral Commission or the CFR, you are a threat. Anyone who talks about the Illuminati or the New World Order, well, you're a threat. And if you stockpile food, water, and weapons, you might be an extremist, according to the United States Department of Justice. And this is also echoed by the Department of Defense. And they say that the founding fathers would not be welcome in today's military. Yeah, they said that this is in a recent DOD training manual. Now, FEMA is actually taking this even a step further. They're actually training their agents that the nation's founding fathers were terrorists.
Who was the first terrorist organization in the United States? Who? Founding Fathers. Founding Fathers. You mean Thomas Jefferson? Oh, yeah. You mean George Washington? Oh, yeah. Paul Revere? Yeah. These guys right here, let me ask you something. Did they try to scare people? Oh, yeah. They tried to intimidate the British. Did they use acts of violence? Your founding fathers, my founding fathers, were involved in acts of terrorism against British officials.
Meanwhile, the militarized police force in this country, well, they're starting to buy into all this. And no better example than this clip we're going to show you right now. And this is the state troopers' reaction when they discover the United States Constitution in the front seat of this woman's car. And this was during a roadside checkpoint and inspection. Let's check it out.
Step out of the car for me. Step out of the car for me.
You are physically forcing me
out.
Out of the car. No, sir, don't you touch any of my personal belongings in this car. You're right, I've recorded this conversation.
That's assault.
Yes, I did.
Resisting arrest.
It is not assault.
I'll get the car. You wouldn't believe all the paraphernalia in here. I mean, look at this clipboard right here. Check me out. Comment upon voluntary nature of Social Security. It's a whole riot act on why you don't have to have a Social Security card to pay into Social Security.
She's just anti-government, yeah.
She apparently belongs to some kind of a clan or something.
Militant group.
Yeah. It's Dixieland Law Journal, Constitution Society. I mean, all compulsory production of documents.
And while the nation's police departments begin to act like an occupying force in this country, the UN wants to give us a very special Christmas present this year. As the UN's Arms Trade Treaty, well, it's set to go in effect on December 24th. On its official website, the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs, yeah, you like the sound of that, Well, they announced that the UN's Arms Trade Treaty will enter into force on 24 December 2014. Now, here are some of the provisions. Article 2 says that the right to own, buy, sell, trade, or transfer all means of arms resistance, including handguns, will be denied to civilians. Yeah, I dare you to try that in Texas. Come and take it. Article 3 says that you can't have any ammo. And Article 4 says even components of weapons will be denied to civilians. Look, I don't know what else to tell you other than the fact that this is the systematic destruction of our Bill of Rights, all right? And basically they're saying, let's disarm the public because the government will keep us safe. And a militarized police force, they will have all the guns, they will have all the ammo to help local and state authorities restore and maintain law and order. Yeah, you like the sound of that? Look, I got a news flash for you. In case you haven't heard, the Second Amendment wasn't put there for hunting and fishing or for sport. No, it was put there in case we need to fight against an oppressive government. And the last 6 or 7 genocides in the last century, well, they have all occurred in countries where they banned citizen ownership of guns. Coincidence? I think not. Hey, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we have a report from Jakari Jackson, and we'll have a report from Rob Dew and Joe Biggs, who immersed themselves in virtual reality. Yeah, that ought to be interesting. The Infowars Nightly News will return right after this. Stick around.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive Infowars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of 2 organic proprietary forms of vitamin B12, bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12. Secret 12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift and is tailor-made to boost your New Year's resolutions. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.